Awesome. All right, folks. We're just seeing everybody coming in through the waiting room right now. So we are going to get started. Welcome to our second edition of the Life Mastermind, hosted by myself, Sandy McKay, and Sir Colin Campbell. Today we've got a special guest, Mr. Abe Shreve. Abe is, for all matters of saying it, one of the best coaches in the business world. He's the CEO of Business Maps Coaching and Training. He's also personally facilitated over 10,000 one-on-one coaching. He's partnered with Gary Keller, Charlotte Savoy. Abe, thank you for being here. We're so grateful and so honored to have this time with you. Colin, I'm going to kick it over to you to get us started today. I know you've got a heavy question that you want to get jumping into.
All right, Abe, buckle up because we want to read every one of our masterminds. We want to start, just with a question that really sets the tone. And you're someone you've trained, the best of the best in the industry. I certainly the top 1% in the Keller Williams industry. So what is the most common habit or mindset that you've identified that has significantly contributed to these agents' success or their business success?
Well, Colin, what I'd like you to do is start with a question that would have 300 different possible answers. Let me tell you what came to top of mind right away is they train resilience. It's that probably doesn't sound like a habit, but I think it is a habit. And what I mean by that is most of us know what to do. We have a sense of what to do. It isn't a matter of being completely unclear as to next steps. And so this work is difficult. I mean, there's something great up ahead for us to do this. We want it. And it's under the best of circumstances, business can be really challenging. And so my experience has been that those at the top of the food chain, they bring a grit and a resilience and a willingness to daily commit. And I mean, I could dive, I could go much more into that, but you'll see that in the observance of a morning routine. Colin, when we talk about things like this, let me give a little disclaimer. There are going to be things that we talk about today that there may be some here that will be tempted to discard these things because they're not new and you've heard them before. And it's, we like new and sexy, don't we? But the truth is, a spiritual leader I follow said, we have a much greater need to be reminded than to be taught new things. And my experience of what differentiates those that perform at the top level is that they get really clear on their plan, and then they have a relentless daily pursuit in the activities of that plan. And that requires resilience because it exposes problems. And then we lean into solving problems. I just had a conversation with Gary where he talked about, I asked him, what would people misunderstand about you? And he said, I think they would think that I do more than I do. And he said, I have a morning routine. I win the morning, and he does ritualistically. He says, I lead generate. My agents don't think I lead generate. I lead generate every single day, and he does on the phone. And he said, still where he is today. And he said, and I understand that my ability to make money is tied inseparably to my ability to solve my problems. And for that, I need to have the most energy possible.
You're hitting back hard, man. I mean, you're dropping names like Gary Keller and so on.
Well, listen, if I say it, you guys are going to be like, that dude lives in Utah and they are weird. And you're not wrong. So, I'll say something about this. I do have a lot of coaching calls, and I've started a business with Gary, and but make no mistake, I know what I know because I've worked with amazing people. And I'm in the same business as you guys. I don't sell real estate. I we launched chapters of the Millionaire Business Network. That is lead generation. That gets me. I am doing the same thing, and I fight the same battles. And Gary said to me one time, and it wasn't that long ago, he said, Abe, you're trying to scale before you're ready. And he was not wrong. And so just to give you some context so that you understand, I fully believe this thing that I'm telling you. We had a big team, and we would help Keller Williams launch a chapter of this product where we're taking all that we've learned in BOLD and MREA and these things out to other businesses. And so you're building a business network where you're working together. And we've built a great learning management system. And when he said that, I've whittled the team down to 3. We have coaches. I'm not talking about the coaches, but down to 3. And I'm personally going out, flying out and doing these launches. That's hard. I've been married to my wife for 28 years. I have 4 kids I can barely stand to be away from. It takes resilience. You earn it every day. And when I say things like that, there's a little of my gag reflex that starts going, because that sounds like something that you would say from stage. Oh, that's a great little soundbite. No, listen, let me be vulnerable with you. It's a lot. And so this idea of I earn it every day, I do my very best to bulletproof my morning, and I can be bulletproof to noon. And then from there, I can swim in some of the crazy.
Thank you, Abe. Sandy?
Yeah, hi, Abe. To follow up on that, actually, a little bit, you talked about yourself and Gary as well doing his form of lead generation in the morning. I think a lot of us on this call are either already kind of worked somewhat towards being business owners versus kind of more of the self-employed realtor, or a lot of us want to at least. What changes in the lead generation structure of someone's day to move from more self-operating realtor to more of a business owner where they have multiple people, and they're maybe, like you said, Gary, maybe the perception is they're doing less, but really they're just hitting those main priorities of some form of lead generation. But what does that lead generation actually look like? Who are they talking to?
Well, let me set up my thoughts with this, Sandy. I appreciate that question. Let me set up my thoughts with this. Most of us you described the individual realtor moving just to the business owner, and you said where they have a team and others. Did I hear that correctly? So we're talking about leverage. That's what that is, leverage. The game of collecting the humans isn't a winning game. And so as far as I'm concerned, there's one reason for leverage. And many think, well, I'm gonna get other people, and then we can do more. And then the subtext is, and I don't have to do these things that I don't like. We get leverage not so that we don't have to do the hard things. We get leverage so that we have clear, unfiltered focus. So for the business owner, the person that's an agent, that's doing it all themselves. I heard Gary describe it this way one time at a mega camp that I loved. He said, you're wearing all the hats, and you're doing all of that. You're the transaction coordinator, and we're doing all of those things. And we get busy, and we have to buy leverage. Most of us don't say it like that. We have to buy leverage. And then we give part of the job to that person so we can keep doing the 20%. So my experience is that when you move from individual practitioner over to a larger business, it is so that you can have a greater focus on the activities that are most important to the business, and your market conditions and your competition will dictate how involved in the daily activities you are. And I have seen this time and time again with people that have built large teams and have moved themselves from the one doing to the one coaching and helping. And I think that there's a place for that along the way, but make no mistake, those that are the most impactful lead right from the front. In markets like this is time to go to the front line with everyone that we work with. Stand shoulder to shoulder, lead generate together. Adults learn by seeing it done and doing. And so for me, I don't ever want to lead generate alone. I want someone here near me that can hear me because I perform differently. So if you have a team and you're not hitting your objectives and you have people that aren't moving forward, then be the leader and get together and let them listen to you. We all perform better when we're doing it for someone else anyway. You know, so I think sometimes we look at the journey through the 7 levels of the MREA as years in school. I was in the 3rd grade and I graduated. I'm no longer in 3rd grade. It is a continuum. It isn't years of graduation. If I have a level 3 business, just for illustration, and I drop in revenue, guess what? I'm a level 2 business with more expenses. That's what I am. And I say this because this should bring some grit and some hope to those that have a team that are here, to realize what my people really need in a market like this is for me to stand with them at the front and do the thing that's the most important to our business. You know, so you're still calling your database, and you know, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there, and I'm happy to go into that with you. But I think more than anything else, real estate is still a contact sport. You know, we have this NAR settlement, and everyone's losing their ever-loving minds. You guys, I want you to hear my voice say this. I want you to think about the farmer I'm going to get the date wrong. Give me some grace. I want to say it was 1966. I could be wrong. I don't know because I wasn't born, because I'm not old. I wasn't born for 5 more years. But let's say 1966. I want you to think about the farmer in upstate New York in 1966 when the first of countless buses full of hippies showed up for Woodstock. And everyone thought, can you imagine that guy? He thought, this is the end of the world. Oh, now this is how Jesus comes. That's what he was thinking at the time. It felt like the end of the world. There was the Vietnam War and all of those things. In that same year, and again, I probably have the year wrong, but in that same year, we landed on the moon. In that exact same year, there was the draft, but we also landed on the moon. I share that story because every single day has within it the opportunity for us to win. And there are those that are going to fall victim to the talk around market conditions. I don't think it's this group. It's not a group like this that's pursuing energy for the daily activities. But Sandy, make no mistake. The landscape and the opportunity around real estate hasn't changed. The truth is the buyers have always paid the commission. It was in the house. We just have to be more skilled now at helping them understand what our value is. I've had a lot of caffeine. I hope you guys are doing okay with me.
That's incredible, Abe. We're love that you're fired up. And just a reminder for everyone, April 17th, we've got the For Love of Real Estate happening. So Bigger Life Mastermind will be hosting a mastermind that morning. For that one, we've got Jay Papazan and Jeff Glover. So if you haven't registered yet, be sure to grab your tickets. Abe, we're going to hand it over to you in a second here. I know that you've got a ton of stuff that you want to jump into. You've said a couple of things that have stood out to me so far. The first one being that there's nothing new, right? I mean, in this landscape, when the market gets tough and challenging, we see people looking for all these different ways in which they can recreate their business or, get out of that constant cycle of being in year 2. And we hear all these new ideas come into play. As you're coaching and going through this, how are you keeping that focus, turning off the distractions for all these people that you're coaching and keeping them on target to continuing chasing that goal through these hard times?
Well, I'm actually I'm only coaching 4 people right now. At my high water mark, I was coaching 63. And so that's too many. There's no opportunity, Andre, to go to the dentist when you're coaching 63 people. I just love it. Can you even imagine 63 30-minute conversations back to back where I get to jump in, come in hot and heavy, I get to jump right on someone's face and they love it and they pay me for it. And then I go home. And what do you mean the 8-year-old doesn't have written goals? Family's like, look, you may do that at work, but here we just want you to do the dishes. So how do you keep people from being distracted? If I could adjust the direction of your question from how do I do this with a bunch of different people to how do I do this? Can I do that? Is that cool with you? Well, this is the hill to die on. We live in a day of extreme distraction. And so for me, I booby trap my morning. And what I mean by that is every decision that we make takes from us part of our mental and emotional bandwidth. We spend it whether we recognize it or not, every decision. This comes from a book called The Power of Full Engagement. If you haven't read it, write that down. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's one of the few books that I have read every other year since it came out. It's probably been 14 years or so that the book has been out. The Power of Full Engagement. And they talk about rituals the way that the One Thing talks about habits. They say that positive rituals bridge the gap between the comfort of the past and the challenge of the future. And they say every decision that we have to make takes a component of that mental and emotional energy. And they also say this, the more energy required to begin something, the less likely we will be to carry it out long term. I'm going to say that again. The more energy required to begin something, the less likely we will be to carry it out long term. And so what that means to me is that we have a limited amount of resource in any given day. We have a limited amount of mental and emotional energy. And if it's true that every decision we make is going to be a debit against that account of energy, then we need to be careful with how and when we spend it. So there are things like, what clothes do I wear? And what do I eat? And what will be my workout? All of those need to be done the night before, because if you wake up uncertain, then you will spend the lion's share of what you need to do your most important activity figuring that out. And so for me, I lay my clothes out. I'm going to sound like the biggest nerd in the world. I'm good with it because I married Teresa, and when people see us, they think she either has poor judgment or he's rich, and it's one of those. In other words, I don't have anyone that I need to look good for, other than my wife and my kids, and the deep responsibility I feel to model what I coach to, and so and the belief that that's the right way to do business, and so I lay my clothes out, what I'm going to wear, and I lay my workout clothes on the floor of my bathroom. That'd be a problem for anyone in my house, except for I'm up at 5, so no one sees it but me. My workouts are designed by someone else. I log onto the app and I go into my basement, and because I don't want to think about it. I want to open the app. I do 20 minutes on the treadmill or 20 minutes on the rower just to start. I control obsessively what I put in my ears in the morning. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Facebook because I'm 51 years old. My kids say that's where all your friends are. And I'm on Instagram. I'm actually on TikTok and LinkedIn and everything else. I don't go to those accounts. I've hired a company that does it, but I interact with people on Instagram and so on Facebook. But you talk about energy sucks, and you talk about a focused deterrent. So I'll show you what I do on mine. I'm going to open up Facebook. Let me see if this will show. Yeah, this will show. This will be decent. Sort of. You'll be able to see it if I turn it like that. So if I open up Facebook on my phone, watch this. It's open. There's Tony. Come on. Now it's going to make a liar of me. Okay, there we go. You see what's happening? It says take a deep breath. And what has happened is this has interrupted the dopamine drop. Tells me that in the last 24 hours, I have tried to go to Facebook 14 times. Then it asks me the question, do you really want to do it? It says, it gives me 2 choices. I don't want to open Facebook or continue to Facebook. Now, social media is an important part of our business. It's one of the great ways people find us. But I've learned if left unchecked, I'll go there all the time. And so the app is called 1 Sec. It's like 1 second, 1 sec. And I know that there's an Android version. It's cross-platform, 1 Sec. So for me, I say that for Colin, because everyone's entitled to their own wrong opinion, and he's an Android guy. Just kidding. So those are the kind of things that I put in place so that I keep myself present. There's another thing that's important for me. We do a daily stand-up as a business. Even though we're small, right? We're small and mighty. We do a daily stand-up, and we have 6 metrics that we look at every time we meet. We may be there for 10 seconds, but every time we meet, executive leadership meeting, somebody starts and they read, here's our goal. They go through all 6. Our goal is we are at. Our goal is we are at. And that is something that we started doing about 90 days ago. And it has brought an extreme focus to how we talk about things here. And so that's another way that we root out distractions, is that we are really diligent in stating, here's where we want to be and here's where we are. Here's where we want to be and here's where we are.
That's awesome, Abe. Thank you for sharing that. Just diving deeper into that last piece that you said. So our goal is where we're at, is that each individual within your executive team that's going through that exercise, one after the other?
Well, they each have their own part of that. So, there may be those here that remember a strategy that we had at Keller Williams a while ago called the 4 conversations.
Yep.
This is being recorded, so I know that I might get in trouble if one of you decides to cut this up. John Davis, he left in controversy, and well earned. He was pretty hard on people. Sometimes, though, we can throw the baby out with the bathwater. We can take something that a person did, and because of how they exited, we can just discard everything. And I understand why the conversation around the 4 conversations had to be adjusted, because it had been rolled into a stick and used to beat people with. I get that. However, it's a brilliant, brilliant strategy. It's simply the lead measures. So the 4 conversations for a real estate team are appointments, listings taken, and then I think it's pendings and then profit.
Profit. Yeah.
And right in the middle is, in that wall of value, those are the tools that we use to move people from the first 2 questions into the next 2 questions. And so we increased it to 6 conversations. Come on. 6 conversations. And in those conversations, there are 2 of those that I am directly responsible for. There are 2 of those that another gentleman on our team is directly responsible for. And then there's 2 that we are all responsible for. And I mean that we film a lot of content. We might start in the studio, but before filming, somebody shares the conversations. Okay, let's get going. Jay, will you do the conversations? And he'll say, yep. And we just read them. We don't editorialize unless we discover that we're really behind. Think of it like this. Here's a great way. Here's how I think about it. And this is good for people that have anyone else in your business you work with. I want you to imagine that we're watching American football. You may or may not do that. I think the Canadians have something figured out, because the truth is American football is too long, and I find it boring. But nonetheless, just stick with me here. We're watching American football. Imagine that we're all on the team. We're on the team, and we're playing another team, and there is no scoreboard, and there are no boundaries. Well, what do? Move the ball that way. Well, how do we know when we've won? We're at the end. When it's over, someone's going to yell time, and then in true Hunger Games fashion, the scoreboard will appear in the sky, and we'll look up and say, did I do enough to win? This is what we do if we don't daily check in on, I call them the 10,000 foot red flags. These are the main metrics that we look at all the time, such that if we're off, we know where to go. If we're off in appointments, we don't need to go look at the P&L. We can go look what's happened to the appointments. And so we don't want to assume that everybody on the team has clarity. There's nothing more important for us as a leader than to be in the constant pursuit of clarity, and therefore we should state where we are against where we want to be all the time, because our position is constantly changing. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, you did incredible there. I think there's probably questions out there for like, what are the 2 additional conversations that you added? And then as promised, guys, we're going to hand it over to Abe. He does have some stuff he's going to go through on, moving from just being a realtor to becoming that business owner and how to make one of the hardest jumps in this industry. But Abe, what are the 2 things you added to the conversations for your team?
Well, in our business, we have a model where I mentioned it earlier. It's called the Millionaire Business Network. Can I do a shameless plug?
Go for it.
All right. Buckle up, y'all. Coming in hot. Gonna throw clothes on you. You good? Everyone good? Do we need to call anyone? Just kidding. It's really nothing more than taking what we've learned over the last 6 years, building a coaching company, working with non-real estate businesses. We've taken all of that. We've been doing this for 2 years now. We've been taking all of that, and we've created a pathway where an agent brings together a group of peers that are in other businesses and is the source of helping them understand how to win financially, what a great economic model looks like for an e-commerce company, for someone who owns a restaurant, for someone who owns a fitness franchise, for their home inspector. It's a model where they meet once a month. So for us, the lead measure in that are chapter leaders. These are people I am personally partnering with. And so I hunt for them. And I'm very cognizant. Gary's had us speak on stage about this a lot of times, and I'm grateful, and I want to keep doing it. And it's really helpful. And we're not looking for everybody, because this isn't like selling leads. We're going into business together. And so there's an interview process. And so I myself am doing this today. I wasn't before, but I've taken it back. And so it is appointments for chapter leaders. It's chapter leaders registered. Then it's appointments for Millionaire Business Network members. These are people that would join those networks. And it's Millionaire Business Network members that have joined. And right now, we're doing one-on-ones with all of them. We have 400. And we're doing one-on-ones where we're doing their economic model. Think of that, 3 of us doing that. It's really fun what we're learning. And then the last 2 are total membership and profit. So it's those that launch a business like this with me. Then it's those that are a part of their chapter and us helping them grow. And then it's financials, it's profit. Gary says, if you can't make a profit, become one. And our world is riddled with people that have great things to say, and they just don't make any money. And I would rather hear someone say that it's really hard and here's what we're doing than someone who says 3 easy steps. There's no 3 easy steps. It's a grind. And we just, so anyway, those are my conversations. And I'll say one more thing on that. In my role, I can start to feel, and I think anyone here, a group like this, you're gonna identify with what I share here. You can feel isolated, right? There's such a thing called entrepreneurial loneliness. I had it illustrated. Can I share an image? I'll do it. I'll do it in my other thing. But we can feel isolated, and we can start to feel slightly out of touch. Is everyone doing what they need to do? I don't want to micromanage. There's all of this. Doing this thing that I've talked about right here, this is how this gets you out of that. This is what lets a leader step back and give his people the leeway that they need to accomplish what they need to without feeling like you're losing touch on the business, because they understand that when we're off in these metrics, I'm stepping in to coach. When we're on, I'm stepping into praise.
All right, let's show us what you got there. I'm excited now.
You ready?
I am.
I've created an interpretive dance that embodies my message. Sandy will never let me come back if I actually do that. All right, I'm gonna put up an illustration, and I'm gonna share my screen. And what I want you to do is I want people to come off of mute and just share your observation of this image. Fair enough? We good? Give me a thumbs up. I see you up there. Come on. So let me share this image. Just come off of mute. Don't wait. It's okay. You know, we're good. Sometimes when I do this, I'll ask a question, and in the distance can be heard the barking of a single dog. Look, we're all friends here. Let's not wait. Let's just jump right in. Okay, so let me get this shared. Just 1 second here. All right. All right, there it is. There's the image. And this would be the moment
Pushing
for
an
everyone to
idea.
come on and say, that makes me think of this.
Pushing for an idea.
Certainly pushing for an idea. What else?
Caged.
Say it again.
Caged. Stuck with their idea and no one sees it.
Stuck in that idea. That's it.
Ready to break free.
Ready to break free. Doesn't keep
Trying
pushing.
to reinvent the wheel.
Say it again.
Trying to reinvent the wheel.
All right. So possibly trying to maybe he's working on an idea that's been done that he's trying to reinvent. Great. What else?
Not to give up.
Now we're warming up. All right, let's get all of those. Who's going first?
He's stuck on an idea.
All right. Now listen to the language, because I think most of us would go to something like, he's stuck on an idea. What could he be if he's not stuck on that idea? What else could we call it?
He's determined.
Obsessed.
Right? Focused on an idea.
Focused.
Yep. What's up ahead of this person?
The goal.
Mountaintop.
Yeah, he's going up the mountain.
Going up the mountain, which is
Light.
obviously it's challenging. Yeah. Someone said light. Look at there's a horizon ahead. What else do you see? What's directly in front of this fella?
Rocks. Obstacles.
Obstacle.
Stuff.
Opportunity.
Oh, I love
He see the goal, but he's up here, right? But he's in that trap, so he cannot go up because of some hurdles.
Yeah. Do we know that he can't go up?
He's made it a certain distance already.
So let me tell you where this comes from. I have a friend of mine who we were college roommates. He's a really talented illustrator. His name's Alex Nabaum, and he's done the cover of Forbes and Wall Street Journal more times than you can even imagine. I called Alex one day and said, I want you to illustrate something for me. I had this done for me personally. And the title I gave him was Entrepreneurial Loneliness. That was the title. And this is what he came up with. I love it. This is a person that knows they're on to something. And it is never as easy as we think. There is a horizon up ahead. There is something up ahead that keeps this person pushing. And there are times you can feel like you're the only one. And as soon as we think we have it figured out, what happens? Jump on in.
Something
Right.
changes.
All figured out. What happens?
A new idea shows up.
Could be. a new,
Obstacles get in your way.
say it again.
It's like, sorry, go ahead.
Obstacles get in your way.
Yep. Yeah, things come up inevitably. Isn't that true? Inevitably along the way to getting where we want to go and becoming who we want to become, obstacles come. And it's in the overcoming of those obstacles that we find ourselves positioned to do things we've never been able to do before. So thank you all for sharing. We're not done. I'm just going to set the table for a few more things. I think that, the question was asked, what was it like to go from, a single agent into a business owner? And for my journey in particular, I've moved from a business. I've had several businesses. I've moved from someone that owned a business, small business, into the coaching realm where I helped others with their business. And then 6 years ago, partnered with Gary to launch this business. So it's been the hardest thing that I've ever done. It has been so challenging. First of all, launching the coaching business was hard because when you do something that many times with amazing people, and I saw Sean Lepp here. I had the incredible privilege of working with Sean for a little bit. Good to see you, Sean. I know what I know because I got to work with people at the front line of this, where we got clarity. It wasn't I know and they don't know. It was we will meet together in this space every week, and we will look out ahead at what we want to do, and we will look at the challenges, and we will work through them, and we'll get clarity, and then we'll hold each other to it. That's really what coaching is. And so I got to do that for a long time. But Gary asked me when we were first launching this business, what'll keep you up at night? And I did not have to think long. My answer was, I am moving from a person that helps another get clarity where they go do it to now the one doing it. And I know how hard that is. And so in order for us to really do this, we have to get very, very clear on just a couple of things. We have to have a compelling reason. Now, this is the part where someone can discount this a little bit. We have to have a compelling reason to do what we're doing. And I'll talk about that just in a moment. And we have to be regimented daily in seeking new business. And so if you have people on your team, you have a big business, that means that there isn't anything more important before 12 o'clock than us getting this right. We have to get this part right, which means we show up. Now, here's a little secret. What happens, and Andre, I'm going to ask you this. What happens? You've got a clear plan, team's there, morning doesn't go the way you want, you show up at 9 o'clock. You were going to be in at 8:30. You're there at 9. How are you feeling about the day?
Probably a little frustrated.
It's ruined. Has anyone felt, can I see a show of hands, those that have felt this? This day is a wash. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. We're like,
might as well go back home.
Might as well go home. Yeah. I'm going to go on a mountain bike ride to reset. And that's when I learned I can ride 100 miles in a day, right? We're going to, there's this sense of, this day did not go. Here's what I would encourage everyone here. Here's how I would look at your plan and at your daily goal. I would look at it as a very clear understanding of when I am off of that plan, I don't have to think about where I want to be. I have it written. I can, if today didn't go the way I wanted it to so far, I'm going to look up at my map, my conversations, at my objectives, and I'm just going to go there. I'm just going to go there. I'm just going to start. And I can do that. I can just do that. It doesn't mean more than it means. It means I started the day slow, but I can start right now. That's what that means. So for me, honestly, the challenge, what changed for me is I work way more hours. I work a lot more hours. There are some things that I'm unwilling to compromise. I have a daughter who is married, This is Mother Nature's cruel trick. Me and Mother Nature aren't on good terms today. I have a son that's a senior in high school, getting ready to leave the nest. Some people can't wait for the empty nest. Not me. I would have froze them all at 5 if possible. I still have 2 at home, but it happens to be the 2 that fight the most. You know, pray for me if you do that. I'm unwilling to sacrifice the time for my kids, and I could, because work for me, the pursuit of this, my vision and my passion for what I'm doing is my drug of choice. So I have to purposefully insert into my day things that help me stop being the work Abe and move me into being her husband and their father. And one of those is when I get home, they take my phone. It's painful. It's hard for me, but I've asked them to do that. They don't take it forever. They don't take it for the whole night. But when I get home, I give my phone. It's a ritual that we created. We have a family mission, and that we made when we only had 2 kids and they were really small, but it still hangs on the wall and we still adhere to it. And most people would read it and say, that's not a mission. That's like a creed or whatever. Look, no one is in the house to tell us we're doing it wrong. So for us, that's our family mission. And one of the things that it says is we greet each other with love and enthusiasm when we come home. So part of that greeting is what gets me out of this mode. I come home, and if they don't all run and hug at the age of 18 and 16 and 11, then I say, is this how we do it? And they know to this day that they will sit on my lap and listen to me sing all the verses. I'm so glad when Daddy comes home, because that's what we set up when we were young. But this thing, when I open the door and I can hear my 16-year-old coming, hey, Dad, and I get a hug from him, that's an interrupt. That helps me disembark from the day. You know, so that's the difference for me. Is I'm doing a new illustration with Alex called we talk about clarity like it's just something you need. You should just get clarity. That's like saying to someone that's in poor health, you should just work out. It's the most ignorant of statements. The assumption is that any of us can just start this at any time because we may be in a position where we're doing that today, or we may have done this in a journey. It's not that easy. We really want to be helpful. We should say, you can do this, and I want to help you. That's more helpful. But nonetheless, just saying we should just get clarity. Listen, let's describe this the way that's most useful. It's a daily fight for clarity. And I've developed a model called the fight for clarity, and that's what he's illustrating next. It doesn't have to be a fight, and then it's hard and it's really difficult. But every day we should be fighting for clarity. Clarity means that we know what we're saying yes to, and we understand what we're going to say no to. And if we find that we're not in that place, let's back up and fight for clarity. All right. Let's hear from you guys. I could go on.
Abe, you started off with resilience and that daily commitment. And this is a habit or a mindset that you've seen from some of the most successful people. You've quoted Gary Keller. Your image illustrated that resilience and commitment. Yeah. How do we develop that muscle?
Well, the first thing my first response to that, and I'm speaking to the right group. We're talking to the right group. You know, this is a group of people in the pursuit of it. I love a group like this. So again, I'm just grateful and honored for the time I get with you. So the first thing to understand is that we have more within us than we are currently giving. And that sounds like something that's on a Hallmark card, right? I get it. Kind of coupled with that is the idea that we can only give what we have, but we have more than we know. We can only give what we have, but we have more than we know. So for 30 plus years of my adult life, and I'm just now getting back into this, I was a very active rock climber. and specifically climbing big walls. If anyone here has ever been to Yosemite, the chief, come on, Squamish. I know that's not exactly where you guys are, but still, I've climbed in Canada. I did this for 30 years, and it requires, if I'm going to be a present father, and I'm going to climb the largest unbroken cliff on the North American continent in less than 8 hours. Most parties take 3 to 5 days. If I'm going to do that in less than 8 hours, then that means I have to train relentlessly. So I have a conundrum, because people that do what I do, they leave every weekend. But I coach my kids' soccer teams until we can find a real coach. It's me. I love it. So how do we do that? Well, I have to, I talked about booby trapping in the morning. I built a simulator in my office. I have a tread wall. I would do a 3.5 hour workout. I would burn 3,700 calories before 7. That was the price I had to pay to do this thing I wanted to do and not be gone. And so I would say in answer to the question, Colin, I went to rock climbing. I want to make sure I'm answering the question that you asked.
No, you're on cue. Yes.
Tell me again. Oh, how do you train resilience? So the idea is to insert something in the day, especially first thing in the morning. Insert something that is a challenge, but you have a 100% survival rate and you have a 100% chance of overcoming. So now, this will sound so silly and it's trending. I get it, but it's trending for a reason. I do the cold plunge. It sucks every day. It's terrible. It's awful. But I've learned that when I'm doing that every day, I'm inserting something that requires me to like get a hold of myself. Like, this is going to be terrible. Those that sit there and talk like it's seamless. Listen, I'm telling you, as someone that does this every day, it's awful. But later it's great. And I've learned that I do it for 3 minutes, and I've learned I don't have to worry about 3 minutes. I am negotiating for 15 seconds. I've learned that's the adjustment time when I'm doing this every day. 15 seconds. Now, if I miss a week, I missed 2 weeks at family reunion, then I was in Mexico City. When I got back, it's 45 minutes of straight hostage negotiation. I'm praying my neighbors aren't watching. I don't want my kids near. I don't want them to know my voice can go that high and I can sound that panicked. But the next day, the very next day, 15 seconds. I can breathe through it and I can win in 15 seconds. And so I would say, insert something like that. They call it resilience training. And I love this. And it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a cold plunge. It might be, I'm going to read 15 minutes. By the way, did you know you can train for that? I do. I have a graduate degree and it's a writing intensive degree. And I still do reading exercises. I have an app that I do about every 6 weeks for 10 days that helps me, my eyes fixate like 6 times a line and I sub-vocalize when I'm reading. So I train reading because I want the information in the books and it feels hard for me, even at this phase, but it's not hard if I'm training for it. So you're inserting, maybe it's reading if you're not reading a lot. It could be a component of fitness. Find something that's going to be a push and then give yourself the best shot of doing it. I live 10 minutes from a beautiful canyon river that they built out a place I can go get in the river. But I know that if I have to drive to the river and back, I'm not going to do it every day. So I have a place at my house that I do it. We got to make doing this thing easy. Pick something that is going to help you mentally understand that you have resilience, and then just start doing that every day. And you'll find that that'll give you a lot of lift. It does for me.
Do we have any questions from out in the room that we can unmute a few people? Andre?
I would say, I dropped kind of the 5 things that I grabbed there, 4 things sort of that I grabbed from you. Win the morning, have a compelling reason for doing what you're going to do, be regimented daily in seeking new business, and every day fight for clarity. That third line there, be regimented in seeking new business. We know that gets harder and harder. Things change, whether you were a cold caller and now, home phones are dead or whatever the things are that we're hearing. But it sounds like, we started this as, how to make the move from one side to the other. And I'm hearing you say it's just going to get harder. It's not easier. There's no real change. You're going to continue to do what you're doing. You're just doing it with a different lens on. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say it like this. Instead of it's just going to get harder, it's going to get different. And do I have time for a short story?
Yep.
So in 2008, there are those that get up and speak and they've always figured it out. They seem to, at least. And I'll tell you, as one who has coached a bunch of those people, I know this personally, but I also know this as a coach. Behind the curtain, everyone struggles with something. Just know that. Like if you've ever looked at, at others and think, Frank, they seem to just get it. Come on. Behind the curtain, everyone, including Gary Keller, anyone, you name it, behind the curtain, everyone struggles with something. In 2008, I was the proud owner of a construction company, and we were printing money. We bought land, we subdivided land. I had a great business partner. Could have been my grandpa. He oversaw the construction. I did everything else. We were printing money. And then this thing happened in 2008. And I don't remember all of it because I blacked out for like 7 years. It was hard. I was a personal guarantor on 19 new construction homes that would never close in my care. The market crashed and we had our biggest economic crash since the Great Depression. And I think when we do that, we then give it to you. Isn't that how that happens? Hey, we really screwed this up. We're going to send it up north. You're welcome. This was really, really a difficult time. I never had to lead generate. I had a great team and we made a ton of money. We made a lot of money, but things changed in a way that my covering our expenses eroded what we had built. And, I find myself month to month. This happens to be the season that I get a coach because I didn't want to do it alone. I remember that I felt especially shameful because I had an image of someone that's doing a lot. And now I'm calling for sale by owners, which I'm convinced don't have souls. They don't have a soul until we have an appointment, and then God gives them a soul. This is the game that I would play with myself. I was not able to afford. I'm a rock climber. I'm a rock climber, and I play the guitar, and I work in a wood shop. I ride my mountain bike, and I'm obsessed with business. This is kind of the life that I live. But I recognize that to do this thing that was hard for me, which is this lead generation thing, I had to feel different, and so I dressed different, and I had no extra money. Any money I had, I needed to cover the mortgage the next month. So I went to Sears before it went out of business in our area, and they sold these. You could buy 2 shirts and 1 tie and a pack for like $15. It was the worst tie you've ever seen. My grandfather wouldn't have worn that tie, but that's what I could afford. And that's what I did. And I couldn't afford a stand-up desk. So I put a box on my desk. And I share this with you because I know exactly what it feels like to struggle through a season that you aren't certain you're going to make it through, but you can make it through today. And that was exceptionally hard. If you had said to me back then, you and Gary Keller will go into business and you will launch a business that will span 2 countries, I don't think I could have believed you. I would have liked to have, but I don't think I could have believed you. I promise this, Gary would have no interest in me if I hadn't experienced those seasons of challenge. We've certified so many coaches, and I tell them, if you've never stayed up at night wondering how you're going to cover payroll, you cannot understand those you're working with. So the stuff that I'm talking to you about, it's really autobiographical. I'm really good at talking about the areas that I've really struggled with, because those are the things that I've leaned into. And You guys, there is a bright future ahead for everyone here. And today it's going to take more. But that's okay. Do more. Just do more. And don't just do more, just do the right more. I remember learning dialogues. I hated it. Didn't sound like me, but my dialogue wasn't working. So I would practice. And so today I still have a coaching relationship with 4 people. 2 of them are in the top 10 of our industry. I want you to hear me say this. They are not where they are because I am their coach. Our relationship works. I see myself as a sacred partner in their journey, but make no mistake, the minute I take any credit for what they're doing, I see myself embezzling from their efforts. It's a partnership. And I do have a sense of what it takes someone at an elite level to do. And here's the dirty secret. It is no different than the person who is in this business by themselves. So if you're in this business by yourself, I would ask you, what can you do today to formalize your morning lead generation activities? It's knocking doors, do that, but don't do it alone. Grab someone else and say, I want to do this, but I want to hear someone else across the room doing this at the same time. I want that type of energy. Will you meet me? Can we do this together? And get someone in proximity so you can help each other. Doesn't matter that you don't share a business. It doesn't matter. You can share energy, and that's really critical. Our best days are out ahead because we're going to have to lean into our business in a way that we haven't before. This group has done that. You've done that. People on this call have been through challenging markets. Listen, this really ought to be great news to all of us because we have shown that when it's hard, we feel it, but we lean into that. We lean in. It's okay if there's a difficult day. Let it be difficult. I'll say this and then I'll be done. I'd love to answer any questions you have. I don't shield the hard difficulties from my family. This is what's different about me at 51 than at age 40. I go home and say, today was really rough and I want to tell you why. And even my 11-year-old, I'll say, honey, today was hard. Here's what I did. If I'm out doing a training, I take those as sacred moments. I'll call my family the morning of and say, hey, pray for your dad today. This is important. This matters. I'm here to help someone do something really impactful. I need you. We don't have to be bulletproof today. That's a flaw. We can just be relentless in the pursuit of those things that we know will help us become who we want to be. And then when we get off of that plan, we just have to go back to what the plan was. We don't have to beat ourselves to death. We don't have to shit all over ourselves. Just look up and say, man, if I was doing this day right, I would be doing this. And then go and do that. Go and start. Andre, you better jump in because I'm about to start.
Sandy,
I have such immense respect for those on the front line of the business. That's this group here. I have immense respect because I'm with you. And it's where we have incredible opportunity to be a blessing to the people that we're striving to serve. And if we get that, we're going to fight for it. And it's going to be a fight. But those that fight the hardest and the longest are the ones that win.
I mean, anyone else can jump in here too. If you got questions, raise your hand. I think that would be the best way to do it. But for the meantime, Abe, I hear Gary asking this question a lot. It must be a good question. What question did we not ask you that we should have asked you on this call?
Oh, I've asked that a lot. Should I've asked you that? No one's ever asked me that. Maybe the fact that I don't have something right at the top of my tongue tells me they shouldn't ask me. No, I'm teasing. Here's I think a question that would be useful to answer. Trying to think of I know the answer. I'm trying to find the right. I'm striving to find the right question around it. Without going into specifics for each of the models, I think the killer of our business, I think this is true for any one of us, is resistance. It's resistance. And I see resistance as things that make my most important work difficult. And a lot of times that's the people around us. If you have a team and you've got people on in your business and everything you do with them feels like a lot of work, I'm going to say something that may or may not be popular. You got to get rid of them. I am very sensitive to the areas of my life that create resistance. And because of that, it allows me to have difficult conversations that I really don't want to have. But I do it because that resistance, like driving down the freeway with your emergency brake on, just wears us out. So if it's difficult, I'll tell you one more thing attached to this. I was on a panel one time with some amazing people. I was pretty new into my coaching space. Not sure why they asked me. I would end up coaching 3 of those people, which was really cool. But they asked the whole group, what is one thing that you could tell us, one mistake that people make building a real estate business, you know, sort of like this, that we wouldn't think to ask you, but what is it? And everybody said, they all said really good things. They were all true. I didn't have to think at all. It was this: we stop looking for talented people when we think we don't have a spot on the bus. So what that means to me is, if you're a person that has others in your business, we owe it to them to continually be looking for talented people, because we want to insert people into our company that are not held hostage by the way we used to do it, that don't say, well, it was different when you hired me. We insert people that only benefit from what we know now, people that are going to come with enthusiasm and they're going to run. We do that so that everyone else can experience that type of energy. It either raises the bar or it causes those that are unwilling to go with us on the next leg of the journey to self-select away. And either of those are fine. I owe that to the ones that want to run with me. And I owe that to myself. And so I would say, you know, the question is, what do we need to be aware of that would stand in our way? And I would say, take a look at what's causing you resistance in your life and jettison those things. If it's a difficult conversation, it doesn't get easier. Just have it. Have the difficult conversation. If it's that you feel limited by the lack of options around you, start holding interviews. Well, we don't have a spot. Doesn't matter. Start looking for really, really talented people. There's something special that happens when you know, if this person were to leave today, I know exactly who the first 3 people are that I would talk to. That kind of freedom, that gives us all kinds of freedom to have the conversations we need to have, to coach hard, to say to them, hey, I know I haven't been that structured as your leader, but I'm striving to have more structure, and I'm going to recommit to structure for your leadership. It lets us have those conversations. So eliminate resistance and make sure that you're at all times looking for talent.
Wow, that is powerful. One more question, before we shut this down, and it's the last question we ask, and we ask every guest this, because this platform obviously is for the top 10% in all of Canada, and we truly believe in the mantra, proximity is power. So who do you know that we should be introducing to the next, bringing on to this mastermind?
Oh, man.
And you would be willing to make the introduction to?
I would love to make the introduction. God, there's
All
so.
Did you say Gary Keller? Sorry.
Do they have to be related to real estate?
No, it does not have to be related to real estate.
I would love to get you Gary Keller. Something tells me you guys can get Gary Keller. I think if you guys reach out to him, just the 3 that I see on the screen right here, give him that smile, Colin. Who could withstand talking that accent? So I have a friend who is one of the best leaders that I've ever met. His name is Daryl Cardone. He is today serving as the commanding officer of the USS Ronald Reagan in the South China Sea.
Wow.
This is an aircraft carrier with 5,500 sailors on it. He is one of the highest ranking officials in the US Navy. And he just happens to love this stuff we're doing.
Yes,
And I
please.
spent a lot of time with him. I know that he's inland right now. I know that this is like late at night for him. And I also know that he would do this if I asked him to. And
Yes,
you
please.
guys would love it. He
Done.
is. You would say, that was worth enduring, Abe.
Okay.
I would love to introduce you to Daryl Cardone. That is someone truly special.
Abe, I truly appreciate you. I love you, my brother. You nailed it. Thank you so much for everything that you've done and all that you continue to do for us.
Hey, I'm gonna do something really quick before we totally sign off. I'm putting my mobile number
Yep,
in. Can I do that?
absolutely.
I'm on a mission to find people that want to partner with me. We do important work. And if you're thinking, I want that part of my database, I want to develop a group that's not just core advocates, but a group that is promoters of the business, and they do that out of gratitude from what they're learning and how they're growing. That's my cell phone. That's my mobile number. Please don't put it on Facebook.
Yes,
But
it is, actually.
I want to talk to you. We might be a great partnership. Maybe we're not, but I would love the conversation nonetheless. And my commitment is that if you think you're at all interested, reach out to me. I will give you everything I have. And whether or not it makes sense for us to do something together, we'll see. But if nothing else, we're going to learn from one another. And I would love some time to come up there in person. Could I talk you into that? Could I come up, spend
You're
time
coming.
in person?
You're coming. It's a done deal. Before the year is out, you're coming.
Well, I'm super grateful for a group like this. I'm inspired by you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate you, Abe. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We know we're running a little long, so in the spirit of time, we're gonna cut it here. Let you guys get back to your day. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel as well as the Instagram, Facebook. We're gonna get you guys these recordings as well. And if you go back and search in the email, you've got the recording of the last one as well. Abe, thank you so much. Cell phone is in there. Grab it. Shoot Abe a text. Everyone, let's show him that Canadian pride and make sure we say a thank you at least to Abe for being here and taking time out of his day.
When is the next event?
Our next event is on May 2nd. So we're going to try to keep them on the first Thursday of every month, simplified for you folks. We do have another heavy hitting guest coming out for May. So we're going to tease that a little bit. We're not going to quite let you know yet, but keep an eye on the emails. We'll get that out to you shortly. And as always, guys, continue to live that bigger life. We're going to continue to
April 17th, Andre, too. April 17th.
and April 17th, folks, don't forget, we've got Jay Papazan. He's going to be hosting with Jeff Glover, Bigger Life Mastermind from 8 to 9 a.m. for this group specifically. So if you don't have your tickets yet, talk to your OP or grab one from the link. You can find us all on Instagram, and we look forward to seeing you all on the 17th and then as well next month as well. So thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.